What's up, everybody? Today we're going to be reviewing Mary Poppins Returns. We'll see if this movie made me take a spoonful of sugar to make it go down. Find out after this. What's up, YouTube? Cinema Heads here. This is Gabe. Today we're going to be reviewing Mary Poppins. The movie is a comedy family fantasy. It's 2 hours and 10 minutes long. Uh, it includes cast members Emily Blunt, who plays Mary Poppins, Lin Manuel Miranda, who plays Jack, Ben Wishaw, who plays Michael Banks, Emily Mortimer, she plays Jane Banks. And then you have the three kids: Pixie Davies, who plays Annabelle; Nathaniel Saleh, who plays John; and Joelle Dawson, who plays Georgie. Um, Meryl Streep is also in this movie. She plays Cousin Topsy, who is cousin to Emily Blunt's Mary Poppins character. And then you have the one, the only, the great Dick Van Dyke. He unfortunately does not play his original character, but he plays Mr. Dawes Jr. There is a antagonist, I guess you could say, in this movie. Colin Firth, who plays Wilkins, plays Wolf. Um, and we'll get to his story here in a little bit. We start the movie, it's basically a Depression era in London. Michael Banks and Jane Banks, and Michael Banks' three children, are basically living in this house that he can't afford. The bank is coming to repossess it. And there's the big story which brings Mary Poppins back. Um, she comes back to take care of the Banks children, which in the first movie, Jade and Michael Banks are the two first kids that she helps. So they're all grown up, they're all adults now. Michael is married, well, was married. He ends up losing his wife, and so he's basically taking care of the three children by himself. He took out a loan from the bank, and that's why the bank is coming to repossess his house. Apparently, he has to pay back the bank in full, or they will repossess the whole entire house rather than make payments, because he's missed 3 months worth of payments. When the bank guys come in, they're talking to him about how he can pay. You end up finding out that his father actually has a bunch of bank shares, which would more than pay for the the cost of their living in their house and return the loan. And so pretty much a good part of the beginning of the movie is them trying to find in the attic. He ends up throwing a lot of the stuff away that he used to have when he was a kid, including a kite. The kite becomes really important towards the end of the movie, and we'll get to that when we get to that. The son actually sees the kite, takes it out of the trash bin, and he goes to fly it. In the meanwhile, you bring in the character Jack. Jack is played by Lin Manuel. He is amazing. If there's anybody to replace Dick Van Dyke's character, like the same type of character, Lin Manuel kills this role. So he actually does an incredible job with it. Surprisingly enough, I was kind of worried about it just because it's Dick Van Dyke, and I'm sorry, but man's a legend. But Lin Manuel actually took the character. It's essentially almost the same exact character, except for him being a chimney sweeper. He is the guy who turns off and on the lanterns at night and on the streets. Um, but the kid is end up the wind is blowing the kite pretty far away, so he ends up having to help the little kid, and as it's going further and further back into the clouds, it starts to come down, and there we see for the first time Emily Blunt as Mary Poppins. Now, let me start off by saying Emily Blunt, one, is amazing. She's extremely amazing, great actress. She could play. She's very versatile. She could play many different roles. She's played in action roles. She's played in serious drama roles. Quiet Place. the movie with Tom Cruise where he keeps repeating time. I can't remember the name at the moment, but it's an action movie. She can play multiple roles, and she's very attractive. I'll say that right off the bat. But she, I will say, like I said with Lin-Manuel, there is. I'm trying to think of another actress who can play Mary Poppins besides Andrews, who played the original. And there is really no one else. She, posture, stance, talking, dancing, singing, she did everything, and she was over amazing at it. She murdered the role every single time she was on screen. It made me want to watch the movie more and more and more. There was nothing that she didn't do that was like, oh, I wish she would have done this, like Andrews did. No, she created the character herself, but literally put Andrews, and it was extremely satisfying to watch because I know a lot of people, especially my age, we've seen the original movie, so we were kind of skeptical of going to see this movie. And yeah, the trailer makes it look, just as good as the first movie, and you're kind of like, oh wow, I can't wait to see that. I hope it's as good as the first one. It's just as good. I'll say that. Even with not having Dick Van Dyke and Andrews in it, it was just as good. So she comes down to take care of the Banks children, just like she did in the first one. This time she's going to take the 3 kids. She's basically their nanny, just like the first one, and she's going to go and she's going to help their imagination during this troubled time, that to take away them trying to help or really feel down about this whole losing the house thing. The 3 kids are incredibly smart. 2 of them, Georgie is the youngest one. He kind of just wants to play. He's kind of just a little kid. The 2, the daughter and the son, who are a little bit older, they understand what's going on, so they're trying to help. And basically Mary Poppins kind of takes them away so that they don't need to so they can be kids, pretty much. You kind of go back to the first movie where she's basically take them into different things to sing and dance and make them happy. And it's amazing. In the first movie where they have the cartoon scene with Dick Van Dyke dancing, they have a similar thing with Jack, Lin-Manuel's character, and Emily Blunt's character, and it's beautiful. It's extremely beautiful to watch. Like, the animation to them, to like the real live cast, is crazy good. Their outfits were even looked like they were like kind of painted on, kind of like a cartoon. So it was just like the way they did everything was just, it was completely different than I've seen. But it was a joy to watch. It was just so good. Like, I just don't know what else to say. So then, of course, there's a lot of stuff during the plot that happens. Some of it's kind of irrelevant, but a lot of it is just to bring in characters. There's a pot that drops. The kids think that it's priceless, so they go to get it fixed so that they can help pay for the house. Thus introduces Meryl Streep's character, because Mary Poppins, that's her cousin, and she goes to get it fixed by her. And it's this whole scene where the house, wherever they go, where this Meryl Streep's character is, the house flips upside down. They're upside down, and the ladies, or Meryl Streep's character, is kind of going bonkers. And they basically say, it's not really upside down. You just have to look at it a different perspective. Where Meryl Streep's character then goes, yeah, I could fix this pot. Like, it kind of really, and then they ask how much the pot is, and the pot's worth nothing. So it kind of introduced the character. It wasn't really anything like a necessary part in the movie, but it's Meryl Streep, one of the greatest actresses alive. So it was, she killed the role too. I mean, she doesn't not kill any role she's ever in, but she killed the role. So from there, we go back. The kids think that they found a way to get the money for the house, so they go to the bank. Also, the dad forgets his briefcase, so they're going to return it to him. The kids over here, the bank manager basically saying that he's excited to take over his house, repossess his house, because he's just trying to repossess as much as he can to make the bank money. And the kids overhear it, and they end up getting caught by the dad, and the dad is furious with them, so he ends up telling him to go home, telling Mary Poppins, take them home. I'll see you when you get home. The kids then go on another trip with singing and dancing. This time it's basically their version of Chim Chimmery, but it's all the crew who turns on the lights and lanterns in London. Um, and it was really well done. There was nothing about this movie that was outshined the first one. If anything, it matched the first one equally. Yes, the first one had iconic songs, and I think one of the biggest complaints that I've heard is that people saying that they wanted to hear those songs. It's a new movie, guys. Like, you guys really got to understand that they're not going to come out with the same exact movie. If they wanted to, they would just redo the movie or leave the movie the exact same and then put it out there in theaters for you guys to watch. When you can practically watch it on TV or on your streaming services for free. So, of course, it's a brand new movie. So the complaint of, oh, I wanted to hear Chim Chimmery or Super Fact, whatever, doesn't make any sense. It's a brand new movie, new cast. They're going to do things brand new, which, again, I think they did wonderfully. Then we come to the end of the movie. They're repossessing the house. All the neighborhood comes across and says, hey, if you would like, you can stay with us. They're like, my sister's been nice enough to take us in until we can get back on our feet. So they pretty much empty out the whole entire house. Georgie goes, oh, I forgot one thing. I forgot my kite. So he goes, oh, go back and get it. Mary Poppins, of course, is kind of like, and Georgie goes back in. He brings out the kite, and the dad remembers that he threw away the kite. And he's like, how did you get this? And he's looking at it, and then he panics and freaks out, and then he's like, puts it up to the light, and what's patched the kite from holes is the deeds. So they basically run to the bank because they have till midnight to actually turn this in before they get repossessed. And of course, the bad guy, the antagonist, is trying to stop them from coming in. They still come in. They basically put all the pieces together, but they're missing one piece that has the signatures on it. So then the main guy, Wolf, is like, nope, sorry, unfortunately that sucks for you. You don't have the signatures needed for us to prove that these are your documents. We're going to repossess it. Introducing Dick Van Dyke's character. He comes in, he's actually the owner above Wolf. He's the owner of the bank. And he basically sees and hears what's going on. And he basically kicks Wolf out, and he takes over again at the bank. He explains to him that, the deeds are fine, your house is fine, your father, in the first movie, the young kid gives him money, and the dad money. The dad goes to the bank, apparently, and gives it to them and says, leave this in here, don't touch it, blah, blah, blah. Dick Van Dyke says, that's been in here accruing, so you have more than enough to pay off this loan, and more so. So you guys are perfectly fine. So they get to keep their house. Then Dick Van Dyke does probably one of the most amazing things I've ever seen in my life. He starts dancing. I'm sorry, but my heart fucking blew up. I'm sorry, he's just so dope. The way he dances, the way he is. That man is a legend, and he shows it. Then we go to the very end finale scene. Again, everything is pretty much set just the way that first Mary Poppins movie is. And this one, they go to a state fair. They go and they grab balloons from this lady, which a lot of people, it took a while for some people to get who this was. Angela Lansbury, she plays the balloon lady in the movie. As soon as I heard her voice, I knew who exactly it was. She actually voices Mrs. Potts in Beauty and the Beast, like the original Mrs. Potts in Beauty and the Beast. And she hands out these magic balloons, and it makes people fly. So pretty much everybody, all the characters that they introduce in the movie, they pretty much get these balloons in the air, and they're all singing this big, extravagant finale song. And then after that, she goes to give Mary Poppins a balloon and says, I think this is the last one. I think this is yours. And she looks in the balloon. She's like practically perfect in every way. She's like looking at herself. Like I can't stress enough, she was amazing in this movie. Emily Blunt was damn near perfect in this movie. And then it's pretty much time for her to go. So of course she grabs her bag, her umbrella, she floats away, and she leaves. And then it leaves them all in the air, kind of flying in the air, to be done. So pretty much that was pretty much the whole entire movie was just them trying to find a way to pay for their home. And Julie Andrews taking these kids on this adventure to kind of keep their mind away from it, but also teach them lessons at the same time, which they eventually use in the movie to talk to their dad and remind him of why, what Mary Poppins brought to him when he was a kid. But as far as the movie goes, I pretty excited about the movie. I honestly give it a 9 out of 10. I think International Movie Database, IMDb, gave it a 7.3 out of 10 stars. I think it was actually higher than that. The music was incredible. Lin-Manuel and Emily Blunt were just perfect together. They meshed perfectly together. The kids were really great too. And it was just fun to kind of see that with my daughter, since I saw the original one when I was a kid. So it was cool to see it. She loved it. She loved the music. It was just really good. So I do highly, highly, highly recommend this movie. So I'd go out there and watch it if you guys get a chance. But other than that, I got nothing else. So I'm just gonna say that this video is pretty much over with. And again, that awkward pause at the end. Boom!